Welcome to Hort Plant Science. We're going to talk about plant taxonomy, classification, and nomenclature. Taxonomy is the branch of science that deals with the description, identification, nomenclature, and classification of organisms. Within this, we're looking at morphology, which is the external appearance of a plant, internal structure or anatomy, habitat, cell structure, chemical components, and of course DNA. In classifying plants, they're classified as non-vascular, as is the case with mosses, or vascular. And within the vascular plants, they're broken down to seedless plants such as ferns that spread by spores, or seeded plants, which include gymnosperms such as conifers, or angiosperms, which are things like apples. Within this classification, there's a hierarchy of relationships. Each level is a rank. The members of each category is called taxa, which is the plural of taxon. So the rank of family would have a taxon of Rosaceae when talking about rose family. So Theophrastus was a Greek philosopher. He was considered the father of botany. He classified plants based on their form and broke them out as herbs, shrubs, or trees, or annuals, perennials, and biennials. But the real father of botanical nomenclature is Carl Linnaeus, and he was a Swedish doctor and botanist. He classified 12,000 plants and animals and published a book called Species Plantarum, and developed a taxonomic hierarchy, and that includes kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. So nomenclature is governed by the International Code for Botanical Nomenclature. A Latin binomial, that's two names, consists of a genus and a specific epithet. In this case, Acer palmatum, which is Japanese maple. And Acer is the genus, palmatum is the specific epithet, and together they are called species. Latin names are going to be italicized or underlined, and genus is a noun and is capitalized. And so Acer, which is maple, is either going to be italicized or underlined, but definitely capitalized. Specific epithets are nouns or adjectives, and they're in lowercase. So here we have Acer palmatum, that's Japanese maple. Again, palmatum is a specific epithet. And then in scientific writing, you'll see the author citation after the name, and in this case, Acer palmatum was named after Carl Linnaeus, so L abbreviated. So there are other names that are below specific epithets, and in this case we've got subspecies. So Acer palmatum, subspecies Amanum. Cultivars are capitalized with single quotes, so we've got Acer palmatum, subspecies Amanum, star. And star is capitalized, it's not italicized or underlined, but has single quotes. So this is a formal naming system. There are two parts. The first is genus, second specific epithet, and as I mentioned earlier, genus and specific epithet together form the species. And the names are Latin or they're Latinized. So with plant classification, we've got our kingdom, our phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. And in horticulture, you're usually most concerned with family, genus, and species. So plant kingdom, there are about 250,000 species, and all plants that are in this kingdom are the kingdom Plantae, and then they're broken down into smaller and smaller divisions, and this would be based on characteristics including how they produce, if it's spores or seeds, their size or stature, etc. Within phylum, they're divided in this category based on whether or not they bear seeds or they're vascular or non-vascular. Below that would be class, and so plants are divided into two types of classics. There's the angiosperms, which produce flowers, and gymnosperms, they don't produce flowers. Within that, we have the subclass, which is dicotyledons or dicots. So these are plants that have two seed leaves when they germinate. And monocotyledons or monocots, and those are plants that have one seed leaf when they germinate. And there's a lot of other different characteristics of these that separate them, and we'll talk about that later on in the class. Within order, this is a group of related plant families classified in an order to have developed their differences from a common ancestor. This includes vegetative structures, reproductive structures, and the names of orders end in ALES. Genera, the singular is genus, often resemble each other with broad characteristics, they usually having to do with flowers, but often now determined by DNA sequencing. And the family usually consists of numerous genera, but some only have one genus within them. Family name usually ends with ACEAE, and the family for rose is Rosaceae. So Rosaceae is usually grouped by, as I said, they're usually grouped by similar flowers. Rose family plants have 5 petals or multiples of 5. They have many stamen, and many stamen is the term that it's used when talking about too numerous to count. And within this family we have roses, of course, we've got apple, we've got plum, we've got strawberry. Then the next level is genus, and they share similar characteristics. It's a little more precise than family. The genus for plums and cherries is Prunus. It's always capitalized, and it's italicized or underlined. Species, with the species, it consists of both the genus and the specific epithet. The specific epithet is a noun or adjective that follows the genus. It usually or often describes the plant, but not always. It's lowercase. It would be italicized or underlined. In this case, we've got Acer macrophyllum. Macro means large, phyllum is leaf. So in this case, the specific epithet does describe the plant. So here we have our hierarchy. We've got our kingdom, our phylum. It's an angiosperm. Here's our order. The family is Magnoliaceae. Genus is Magnolia. Species is Magnolia grandiflora. And the common name is Southern Magnolia. And those of you taking Plant ID will be learning this plant this quarter. So here we have heavenly bamboo. The family is Berberidaceae, or the barberry family. The genus is Nandina. The specific epithet is domestica. The species is Nandina domestica. And Carl Peter Thunberg named it scientifically, so here's an abbreviation after Nandina domestica indicating he named it. Subspecies are a grouping within the species that are geographically isolated. They're abbreviated with SSP or SUBSP. Usually in the Plant ID class we prefer SSP, but either would be correct. Subspecies name is lowercase, italicized or underlined. It's preceded by the abbreviation SSP, and in this case we've got Acer tetericum subspecies Janella, and you can see the subspecies is not italicized. All the other parts of the name are. Within variety, we have a population of plants of species that have marked differences in nature. These differences are transmitted by seed, and they're more or less recognizable within a species. They're not genetically isolated from each other. When writing it out, variety would be abbreviated VAR. It's written in lowercase, italicized or underlined, and preceded by the abbreviation VAR. So in this case, we've got Viburnum plicatum, variety tomentosum. Forma describes sporadic variations, for example, a white-flowered plant in a normally purple-flowered species. This is also italicized or underlined after abbreviation F. So here we have Cornus florida forma rubra. Cultivars are selected for particular attributes or a combination of attributes. They're clearly distinct, they're uniform and stable, they retain their characteristics when you propagate them asexually, and the cultivar names are capitalized and in single quotes. So in this case we've got Ulmus glabra camperdownii, which is our camperdown elm. Clones are a group of plants that are identical to one another, to their one parent, and they can only be propagated asexually. Pyrus communis Bartlett, Malus domestica red delicious. They can only be propagated through cuttings, layering, division, and budding, and grafting. And we will be looking at apples in a video we will be seeing called Botany of Desire. Interspecific hybrids occur when you have two different species cross. The lowercase x comes before the specific epithet and after the genus. So here we have Osmanthus X Burkwoodii, which is an interspecific hybrid between Osmanthus delavii and Osmanthus decorus. On the left, we've got the Osmanthus decorus. On the right, we've got a picture of the parent, one of the parents, Osmanthus delavii, and below there's the hybrid Osmanthus X Burkwoodii. Both these plants will be studied in Plant ID this quarter, so you will be seeing this quite a bit. So intergeneric hybrids are far less common. It occurs when you have two plants from different genera and they're crossed. So you would have an uppercase X in front of the genus. So the example here is what they call the wonder plant. It's Fats hetera Lizii, so the X is in front of Fats hetera. It's a combination of Fatsia japonica and hetera helix. And for those of you that may not know, hetera helix is English ivy. And so the two parents are on the right, and on the left we've got the vine-like shrub of X Fats hetera Lizii. So within nomenclature, you will see trademarks, and these will be brand name labels owned by entities that has nothing to do with plant classification or nomenclature. It's not fixed to any scientific standard. And when you're identifying plants, you can use dichotomous keys. I'll show you what these look like. It's answer a series of questions about the characteristic of a plant you're trying to identify. It's basically a process of elimination. You match the characteristics that best describe the plant you're identifying. So here is a dichotomous key for leaves, and we're looking at A here. So the first choice is needle leaves or non-needle leaves, and so obviously it's a non-needle leaf, so then you go down to 3. You completely skip 2, and you're looking at simple leaves or compound leaves. Simple leaves just have one blade, and so there you have it. There's a single leaf. You go to 4. It's either smooth edged or jagged edged. Looks smooth edged to me. So then we move down to the leaf edge is smooth, and magnolia is your choice. So vascular seed plants are broken down into gymnosperms and angiosperms. Gymnosperms are non-flowering. Their seeds are exposed in structures such as cones and leaves. Gymno means naked, sperm means seed. They contain true roots, stems, and leaves. These include conifers, cycads, and ginkgo. Angiosperms are flowering plants, and their flowers are a group of modified leaves used for sexual reproduction. Seeds are found within the fruit, and they contain true roots, stems, and leaves, and some examples here are rose, lily, oak, maple, pea, and grass. So on the left here we've got pine cones, and on the right we've got seeds for cycads. So they're both gymnosperms. Here is ginkgo biloba, and although this looks like fruit, this entire fruit-like structure is the seed, and the seed coat is fleshy. And here we have a basic angiosperm. This is a tomato. On the left we've got the flower, and then on the right we've got the fruit, which the fruit encloses the seeds.